Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the 26th day of March, 2025. It is Wednesday of the third week of Lent. It is the 18th day of Lenten season. And once again, I am doing this from in front of the Catholic Center because I had to come down here early this morning because Bishop is having a mass with some students from Cardinal Gibbons, and I get to set up for it. So we're going to do that. But here on this Wednesday of the third week of Lent, Deuteronomy opens us up to an important part in the history of Israel's taking possession of the land that God promised Abraham, that now God is promising again to the return of the to the return of the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt. And again, Moses cautions the people to remain faithful to this God who has done great things for them and who has given them a way of life to live. Again, the commandments are more than just rules and regulations. They are a way of life to be lived, which is why when Jesus says that to love one another is the greatest of these, this is about not do's and don'ts, but it's about living our life in a particular way. And when one lives with God, one lives one's life in a particular way. Our faith and our belief are not another pastime or a hobby. They're not a fantasy to blot out the world. They're not a bubble to encase ourselves in, but they are always a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. There are many different kinds of ways of life that human beings can choose from, but we believe that this is the best way. When it's imposed upon others, enforced upon others, well, then it is not a way of life. It becomes a law and a rule. And whenever faith becomes laws and rules, it is no longer faith. It is something that does indeed enslave, and something that destroys life and does not give life at all. So Moses in Deuteronomy today is cautioning the people, to listen to these, to listen to this way of life that God has given to them, to listen to these commandments that God has asked them to live out of. And if they do so, then people will look at them and say, what a wise and intelligent nation this is. To listen to a God who wants to do nothing but give them life, wants to do nothing but allow them to live life happily and fully, and seeing accomplishment and success, to live life that gives life, is what God promises. If Israel just listens continuously to what it is that God is asking Israel to do. This idea of wisdom and intelligence, you can only embrace faith through wisdom and intelligence. You don't, embrace faith by becoming some kind of, empty vessel for God to fill, or any kind of, without any kind of critique or any kind of thought, put into it. Again, with Abraham and with Moses, there was constantly questioning God as to how this can be, and should this be right, or should God do this, and whatever it is. And God neither rejects nor disowns, Moses and Abraham for the questions that they raise, because Moses and Abraham are using their wisdom, are using their intelligence that God has given them to know truly, the power of what God is asking them to do. And that's always, again, what Lent is about, reacquainting us with, to use our brains, to become thinking believers in this world, and not just drones, who just follow the law and follow the law and follow the law. To become thinking believers who can put into effect what it is that God is asking us to do and God is asking us to be, and see the wonder that can come from listening to God, from being a part of God's life. In Matthew's Gospel, I think it's Matthew, might be Luke, but either Matthew or Luke, Jesus basically says, don't think that I have come to wipe away the law and the prophets with what I've done. I've come to fulfill them. And again, that's the whole point in giving clarity, that it's not about rules and regulations. It's not about what it is that we have to do or don't do because we want to avoid God's anger and God's, punishments and whatever it is. That's no way in which to live a life that is full and happy. That is to live a life in fear, and that is not what God gives us. To live a life that God presents for us, a way of life to live, is to understand fulfillment, is to understand how these things that God tells us to do offers us fulfillment in our lives, does not entrap us, does not limit us, does not keep us from becoming the people God has created us to be, but are ways that enhance, this journey into embracing who we are and who we are meant to be in this world, and allowing that witness to show forth God's love and God's mercy to all. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God, a continued blessed Lenten season. May the Lord give you his peace.